Good morning. Goeiemorgen. Mwalalapo. There is something fitting about having this conversation at the start of the day. This morning, you woke up, you got dressed, and you walked into a room full of people being recognized what they've already built. And that's worth celebrating. PMR Africa has been tracking excellence for around 37 years. And you're in the room. So that's really something to be proud of. So this is a room that a number of years ago hosted around 30 odd people. Today, look around, hundreds. That says something about Namibian business and PMR. So what I really love about the mornings is that every morning is a clean slate. What happened yesterday, the wins, the losses, the missed opportunities, none of it has happened yet today. So every decision is still in front of you. And now that's exactly the mindset that I want you to carry forward into the next 15 minutes or so. Because we're not here just to admire what's already been built. We're here to ask the question, what are you going to do today that your future self will thank you for? So let's have a look at the world through a time traveler's lens. I'd like you to imagine that we've gone back in time now. It's 1996. I mean, hands up who was around and working in 1996. Certainly PMR Africa were. You can see by the gray, Gary was as well. So what were we doing in 1996? Getting started in our business. Now, what I want you to imagine is that a time traveler has come from 2026, from today, and gone back in time and has arrived in your office and is going to share some tips with you. Just share some ideas on what you might do to make yourself future ready, how you prepare for 2026. Let's have a look at that. So, welcome to 1996. I can tell you there's no Google, there are no smartphones, and there's no social media. The internet is brand new. Can you hear that dial-up tone? Can you remember that dial-up tone? I remember getting a fax on my computer at home and thinking, oh my word, how far can technology actually go? So most businesses are analog, they're hierarchical and local. And what the time traveler is going to say is, the future is coming really fast. Will you be ready? This is what you might want to consider. The biggest tech wave is hitting, and that tech wave is the internet. And they say to you, you need to launch a website immediately. You need to secure important domain names. You need to build e-commerce capabilities, because the early adopters will become the category kings. Who even heard of the internet? Who was even concerned about the internet? We hardly even had dial-up, so getting to the internet, there's no video done. Then they would have said, invest in the correct giants, in the right giants. Buy stock in Apple, in Amazon, in Google, in Nvidia, and in Netflix. Time traveler would have said, avoid Blockbuster, avoid Kodak, avoid Nokia, avoid AOL. Nokia, Kodak, those are the giants. That's who we'd be looking at. So the advice would have been, back the disruptors, not the dinosaurs. Then time traveler would have said to you, build yourself a digital workforce. Upskill your team in IT and digital tools. Introduce enterprise resource planning. Introduce customer relationship management systems, workflow systems, automation. Create early adoption of internet and remote access. It's going to be important. Seriously? You know why? Because digital literacy will define competitiveness, is what they would have told you. Digital literacy, we were still filling out pieces of paper. Then they would have said, embrace culture change. Remember, this is 1996. Embrace culture change. Promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Break the 9-to-5 mold. You don't have to start work at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock and finish at 5. Foster psychological safety and autonomy. We didn't even know what psychological safety was, because they would say to us that culture eats strategy and future culture eats past success. You know what that means? What got you here won't get you there. Then they would have said, be mobile, be social, be visual first. Hands up, I missed this one completely. I understood the internet as it started arriving. I could not understand how people would be surfing the internet on their mobile devices. I was not ready for that one. So prepare for smartphones and apps. Lead on social media. Pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, pre-X. I remember having a conversation with a private investigations business I was consulting to. And there was this thing that I had heard about. It was called web logs. And I said to them, guys, we need to be thinking about web logs. What that means is we need to be logging the cases as we go along. It's going to be important. You think they did it? Where are they now? Because blogging and podcasting has blown up. And the people that got in early are the category leaders. Invest in video content creation early. Start creating videos. Seriously? Who even watches videos? There were some of the comments I used to get when I was encouraging organizations to be video ready. You see, the thing is, the future, the time traveler is going to tell you that the future is in your pocket and in your feed. Time traveler is going to say to you, storytelling is a superpower. Train the leaders in the art of story. Build brand narratives that move people to action. Authenticity will be more important than AI. Authenticity, AI, this is 1996. What's this time traveler on about? But this is what we know now, is people forget data, but they remember stories. And we got so caught up in data, in bar charts, in pie graphs, that's what we started sharing with people, forgetting about storytelling. So here's the thing. Okay. Time traveler would have gone back 30 years and come and spoken to you. But now I want to ask you a slightly different question. Now think about the fact that if you have 30 years of hindsight looking back, what would you do differently starting now? Here's a question for you. With 30 years of hindsight, what would you be doing differently? It's been credited to both Abraham Lincoln and Drucker that the best way to predict the future is to create it. So how are you creating the future? Let's look at your business through the time traveler's lens, but future-proofing for 2055. Now we've gone past 2026. How are we getting to 2025? There's a few things, few capabilities I suggest you might need. So the first one would be technological fluency. You want to be able to adapt and adopt to AI, automation, and analytics. Now, this isn't just everyone becoming a coder. Not everybody needs to be vibe coding, or we're now calling it generating agentic engineering. It's about leaders being able to have informed conversations with the future. If you can't understand what AI, what automation, and what analytics are actually doing, then you can't make good decisions about them. You either overtrust them or you fear them irrationally. Both are fatal. Technological fluency means that you're either the one shaping the tool or being shaped by it. Here's the paradox. This is the modern paradox. The more powerful machines become, the more technology comes into our lives, the more valuable, distinctly human capabilities are. Empathy, storytelling, influence, these are the things that cannot be automated because they require genuine connection. Human skills, these are irreplaceable in a machine world. Right now, people want more connection with humans. We are humans dealing with humans, and we often forget that. So organizations that invest heavily in technology but ignore the human skills will have fast, efficient, soulless operations that nobody wants to work for or buy from. The machine handles the transaction. The human earns the relationship. Now, this is the capability that most organizations are, I suppose, worst at or most desperately need. We're drowning in data and signals, in trends and noise. The leaders who win are not the ones with the most information. They're the ones who can connect the dots across disciplines that nobody else has thought to connect. Sense making is what turns insight into, turns strategy into insight, the news into foresight, and the difference between informed and being wise. And then, one of my favorites, resilience and anti-fragility. So resilience alone, bouncing back, is no longer enough. I want to think about post-COVID, how many stores, how many businesses you saw bounce back after COVID, but then just didn't last in the long run. So bouncing back is no longer enough. The concept of anti-fragility, which was proposed by Nassim Taleb, a Lebanese-American scholar, statistician, and former derivatives trader and risk analyst, known for his work in uncertainty and probability and risk, goes further. Anti-fragility goes beyond bouncing back, and systems that actually get stronger under pressure, not just back to where they were. Resilience is surviving the storm. Anti-fragility is coming out stronger. So that's it. Building systems and people that get stronger under pressure. So let's look at the four together. Technological fluency without human skills gives you automation without soul. Human skills without sense making gives you charismatic leaders making bad decisions. Sense making without resilience gives you brilliant insight that collapses under execution pressure. Resilience without technology means that you survive disruption, but you can't harness it. They need to be seen together. So, if you had 30 years of hindsight, what would you be doing differently starting right now? Because here's the truth that nobody says out loud. We're not Elon Musk. We're not Steve Jobs. Not everybody is wired to think 30 years ahead. That's the reality. And that's not a weakness. That's just reality, and it's completely okay. It's fine. The world needs brilliant operators, not just visionaries. But every organization, I think, needs at least one person whose job it is to stand in 2055 and work backwards. You don't become that person by reading books. You don't become that person by going on courses. You find them, you back them, and you get out of their way. Because what I'm talking about is appointing in your organization a chief time traveler. The time traveler is the most disruptive person in the room, not because they're radical, but because they're right. They've seen how this plays out. They have no patience for sacred cows. We've always done it this way. The slow consensus. Let's form a committee and discuss it. Your organization does not need another strategist. It needs somebody willing to be dangerous. I want to leave you this morning with this one challenge. This week, after you've left here, I want you to go and appoint somebody whose explicit job is to make you uncomfortable. Then give them air cover. Then listen to them, even when it hurts. My name is Gary Tintinger, and I've really enjoyed spending the morning with you. I want you to go out now. I think you're going to have breakfast now. Enjoy your breakfast. Enjoy the awards because you've earned them. But let's not rest on our laurels. I want you to think about appointing a time traveler. Thank you.